How do you finish that stuff so fast?
You might be wondering, folks, why I'm not drinking alcohol. Here's your reason. Welcome back to another episode of our off-season. God damn it! Welcome back to off-season fun with Skinny and the Hammer. I'm your host, the Hammer, and that's Skinny Domestic, and this is little fucking Austin, and we're here to give you a great episode. I'm not drinking today because I'm on antibiotics because I literally have. I'll show the camera just for the clout. I have the worst freaking poison ivy all over my body. I mean, all over a man could have.
Yeah, all
That's
over.
crazy.
All over. All over.
I can't. All over.
Yeah.
The hammer included.
Yeah, we have Austin. Austin was our first guest ever on the pod. He was also the one on the live stream that drank a whole 12-pack of Dr. Pepper during the NFL draft.
Yes, sir.
So
True. Very impressive too.
he's here today. Austin, just do a quick for we've had probably over 50 new subscribers since you were ever on the pod. Give a quick breakdown, favorite team, how you got into football, other sports, all that good shit.
Favorite team, the Steelers. Football. Wanted to play football when I was a young kid, so I started playing like second grade. Been playing ever since. Love the sport, so that's pretty much it.
Who's your favorite Steeler?
My son is going.
Oh,
to
my favorite Steeler. Well, okay, right now it'd be like T.J. Watt, but all time it's gotta be Polamalu.
Yeah, Austin's hope and dreams of the NFL were shot down by me one day in a Xbox party chat. I was like, "You're like five." I was like, "You're 5'5". You're not making it."
Like I didn't already know.
Since then, he's only grown about an inch, maybe an inch and a half, and.
No, I'm pretty sure I'm only half an inch taller since I'm only like 5'5.5".
Yeah, he's 5'5.5". Skinny, get it right,
dude. I think Dom might be
NFL.
taller than you now. It's gonna be crazy.
I wouldn't be shocked.
You better be careful, dude. That kid's gonna. Once that kid figures out how big he is, he's gonna start bodying you, Austin.
11 years old.
Dude, I hope I can just stay stronger than him. I got 3 years of weight training ahead, so. We'll just
doesn't matter. Going. That kid's got genetics on his side.
He does have genetics on his side.
He's huge.
Yeah, huge. All right, so we have a good episode today. It's going to be our longer episode because it's not just the UFL coverage and bad betting. So, Marcus, you know what to do. Get us started off with that news.
Okay. I got to look at my actual phone today because I forgot to write the news down.
Oh, just terrible.
I do know.
Oh,
I know,
giving me shit for not being prepared, and here you are.
Hey. Yeah, that's right. Shut up. The Vikings signed Dalton Reisner to their offensive line. Can I just tell you how happy I am for this? We are really, really weak at guard, and Dalton Reisner did really well last year once we had him for those 15 games. So I'm excited to see him continue to grow in this offense and protect the JJ to JJ connection. Next, Nico Collin actually got extended, a 3-year, $72 million extension. No surprise there. I mean, he was really good last year. It's not really that much money for a wide receiver compared to like what's his nuts? I can't think of the guys for the Lions got paid.
Amon-Ra.
Amon-Ra.
Yeah. So I mean, that's like 3 years. It's less than, or a little bit over 20. I guess that is decent. Amon-Ra got 40 a year, damn near 35 a year, something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Yeah,
like
over the 30 to 35.
But Nico is young and he showed a lot of talent. And then the Jets signed Tariq Cohen to a deal. So I was surprised. I thought Tariq Cohen was out of the league.
He was for a little bit. He was training with people for a practice squad, and he tore his Achilles. So he was trying to make
Yeah, I remember that. He was on
back.
the Bears and tore it.
Yeah. Well, he tore the ACL with the Bears. Then when he was coming back from the ACL, he tore his Achilles, and then he signed with the Panthers practice squad in 2022 or 2023. So he's had some football. It'll be interesting to see how it goes on that roster because he hasn't played actual football in 4 years. I think he'll probably just be a return specialist at this point. I don't think there's really because Breece Hall's a do-it-all running back for him.
Yeah,
And they drafted a running back. Like, I don't think he has a running back spot unless injuries happen or anything like that. It's going to be more if he'll be their kickoff returner or punt returner most likely.
Does Breece Hall go top 5 in redrafts this year?
No, I think he'll go 5 to 10, if anything.
Really, I think that he'll be higher than you think. I think it'll be clear cut. It'll probably be CMC again, just because CMC's been really good the last year. And then I guarantee you it's going to be Bijan. It's going to either be Bijan. I could see Jonathan Taylor sneak in there. But I feel like Breece Hall is going to be in there too. Because running back kind of sucks now. And then Gibbs will probably be pushing that top. I say 10-ish. But I don't know. I feel like Breece Hall is going to go high in drafts this year. Because of how good he was last year in fantasy for how bad that offense was. He gets the ball thrown to him a lot. So, plus,
well,
you
got to think
that
about
with
it.
Aaron
It's not
Rodgers
Zach
there.
Wilson anymore.
But Aaron Rodgers uses the running backs. Aaron Jones was very fantasy
True.
viable. And on top of that, Breece Hall also can run the ball pretty well. There should be holes open because of Aaron Rodgers. So I'm kind of excited to see what Breece Hall can do. And then my last one is Juwan Jennings signs a 2-year deal up to $15 million and 10.5 guaranteed. I think they're worried about the Brandon Ayuk situation. So I don't know what's going to happen with the 49ers in that, but he's okay. Juwan Jennings is a fine third wide receiver.
He was the one that stepped up at the wide receiver position for him in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and he played decent.
Had a passing touchdown and a receiving touchdown, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he's a pretty good slot receiver for them.
Yeah, and when you're Debo kind of fell off from what he kind of was. The other one too is Debo was used more as a receiver instead of the dual threat running back. The running back like he had been before. I like Juwan Jennings. I think it's a good signing to keep him for at least another 2 years. See what happens with your other wide receiver issues that are kind of taking place with contracts and if you want a long term. So what I got, we got Devontae Parker retired from the Eagles.
After he went to the Eagles. Oh yeah.
He miles jacked us. Retired after signing with us, but I think Devontae wasn't gonna get a roster spot. So I think that's kind of why he retired. He kind of realized he can't do it with some of these guys, maybe. I don't know. Just looking at our roster, I don't think he could have been the number 6 guy, but I don't think that maybe would have happened. David Johnson retires officially. Former Arizona Cardinal.
Was so weird.
I did see that. David Johnson was too long, too. He hasn't played a snap in since 2018, 2019?
Yeah, dude.
Something like that.
So special until the injury, man. It was so devastating to see him get injured.
Oh, yeah. What was his wrist injury that ended his freaking career?
Yeah, I don't remember, but
I literally think it was a wrist injury that ended his career. Because I remember he was 1.1 in fantasy. People are like, David Johnson is it. And everyone was on the David Johnson train.
Sprained an MCL.
I think he did. I think it was a wrist skinny. I think it was something weird like that. What year was it that he was 2019, 2018?
Ankle injury that derailed 2019. Dislocated wrist that forced him 2017. So
yeah, the wrist I think is
2017.
What was the first year that you had your dad's league?
God, we're going on 7 years now, so it would have been 2017, 2016, that area.
So when that happened, that was the year that David Johnson went number 1 overall. I don't know who took him, but that was the year that his wrist got hurt and he was out for the season.
That would make sense.
And I remember, after that, because 2016 he was a rookie and he was a stud, or he fell off hard.
Yeah. His all-purpose yards were crazy. He was a very good dual threat running back. So what the Eagles went and did, I personally, what's available at wide receiver out of like some of the bigger names, Michael Thomas and Hunter Renfrow were there for the taking for a slot receiver, and I really wanted the Eagles to go after one of those two. I know Michael Thomas is older with his injuries, but he didn't have to be wide receiver one. Just go play the slot behind Paris Campbell, in front of Paris Campbell, I don't care, or Hunter Renfrow. People forget how good Hunter Renfrow was and was not utilized like at all with the Raiders. He one of the better route runners in the league, played slot, and we go and get John Ross.
Dude, you guys are the epitome of being bad at picking wide receivers, besides Devontae Smith.
Yeah,
So.
We killed.
There's some potential there with John Ross. You never know.
He's fast.
John
but
Ross is like he's
a better Quez Watkins.
30.
Yeah,
He's got to be pushing. No, he's not. No, he's not.
You don't think he's better than Quez?
No,
I just think.
no, I don't.
I just think if you have Hunter Renfrow or Michael Thomas sitting there, and you need a slot receiver, take him. Like, go get them. Like, they would have been far better options, especially when you don't need them to be like wide receiver 3, 80% of the snaps when you have Paris Campbell still, and some of those rookie guys. Bears signed Robert Tonyan, so he's just staying in the NFC North. Next thing you know, he'll be a Viking next year. So that's signed. 2026 NFL Draft has been officially declared to be held in Pittsburgh. So,
what a terrible place.
Yeah, just the worst.
To have a draft.
The worst city in Pennsylvania.
No, not even joking. That's a terrible.
Why do you say that? What's so bad about Pittsburgh?
Well, it's better than Philadelphia, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd rather have that in Philadelphia.
Dude, the Steelers and the Eagles were literally voted like the 2 worst fan bases by like people. It was actually like horrible. I don't even think the Steelers fan base is that bad.
It's got to be. It's just got to be something about people in Pennsylvania.
Dude, I mean, I have seen that clip of the Pittsburgh game where the black dude like knocked out somebody, but
that happens in other games too.
I know it's just highlighted. It's in.
Do people not remember like the old fucking Oakland Raiders and the 49ers games where like if you like people would come close to dying at these games? I feel like just how bad it was, but yet they're not even like one of the worst fan bases. It's like, oh, they're diehard fans. They support their team.
Yeah,
Whatever.
They just really love their sports.
So I found this stat that I thought was super interesting. I did look into it, and it is true. I don't know if you guys can do this or name it, but I thought it was pretty crazy. There's only been one quarterback drafted by the Broncos that's won a playoff game for them. Can you name that quarterback?
I don't think Elway was drafted to the Colts, not Elway. You thought I was going to say Elway.
Was it like Paxton Lynch or something like that? Like come into like relief?
Wait, is he what? Give me an era.
Post 2000s, like 2000 after.
2000 after.
Jake.
Oh,
Palmer.
Cutler.
No, Jake Palmer wasn't.
Did Cutler win a game?
Cutler was drafted by them, but is it Jake Cutler?
So your guesses,
That's what I'm saying. I'm sticking with Cutler.
Marcus?
I'll stay with Cutler too. Fuck it.
Tim Tebow.
Oh yeah, because he beat the Steelers in that overtime game.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about Tebow because you know who I was going through my head. I was like, ooh, they haven't had a lot of good quarterbacks that they drafted.
Dude, I was thinking
Brian
some like
Osweiler.
Brock Osweiler. Yeah,
Brock
I was like,
Osweiler.
that's actually like out of all. Out of all of their drafted quarterbacks since they've been in the league, Tim Tebow's the only one that's been drafted and won a playoff game. I thought that was pretty crazy.
Tim Tebow was clutch. He had the it factor. He had it.
I remember that he threw a freaking like post route to Emmanuel Sanders and cooked like
no Demarius Thomas.
Was it? That's what that was.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the? I don't know if I was on Twitter. South Carolina football star Nick Harbor qualified for the NCAA Nationals in both the 100-meter and 200-meter. He ran a 10:12 and a 20:20, which Tyreek ran a 10:19 and a 20:14. So he's faster in the 100, a little bit slower in the 200. What's crazy is The dude is 6'5", 240 pounds.
Oh my! I don't know if that translates to game speed though.
It'll be it'll be interesting. I went and looked at some of his tape, like pretty decent. I mean, he's pretty. It's also college ball, but like,
yeah,
that is like we think DK Metcalf is a freak. This dude's faster and bigger than him. That's fucking insane.
Wow.
It'll translate. Oh. If you can run, you can run. It'll translate.
Well,
there are players that like accelerate quick. That's like good. Like, I don't know. I can't think of one right now, but there are players that accelerate really quick in the NFL that aren't like don't have the top speed. Like if you have the top speed in 100-meter dash, you got to be kind of quick to do that. If you're telling me like
I'm saying quick, like he might not be as fast as Tyreek Hill in game,
but like a 40 like a 40-yard dash, it's like okay, whatever. Like 100-yard, that's a whole fucking like.
There's some
like
nobody's confident in like Xavier Worthy. He ran a 4.21. Nobody's really confident though in that translating to.
I am confident that man is because with Xavier Worthy can run the routes and do everything that he need. Like it's not like John Ross, where like John Ross's route running is like piss poor unless it's a go route or anything deep. Like Xavier Worthy has very good route running. But again,
is he going to be the Chiefs' number one?
No, it's going to be Hollywood, 100%.
I think it's going to probably start off Hollywood just to like get into it. But I think Xavier Worthy within the first 6 games is going to come out and probably end up taking over.
No, I feel like Hollywood's like a top receiver in fantasy now this year.
Xavier Worthy is going in like the first like 5 round of dynasty leagues. Yeah, that's like wide receiver. Like you're sitting at like wide receiver 1 players still at that point. So
it worries me a little bit with Xavier Worthy just because every single time we get into this with rookie players and they just suck. Like how many players like Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who did okay with the Packers and he was like the number 1 for the Chiefs and just sucked.
He should have been great.
Well, I mean, think about Hollywood Brown speed.
Xavier Worthy can run routes, but I question his hands.
Yeah, well, it's usually that's how it goes with fast guys. You like question their hands for a while. Like Hollywood Brown with the Ravens was supposed to be spectacular.
Yeah, he was.
His hands.
He was pretty darn good though with the Ravens. Still,
well, his rookie year he had a lot of drops, and then he's gotten better clearly, but. It's like Devontae. I mean,
with the Cardinals, he was very iffy, but he was.
It takes the development. So, like, I think Xavier Worthy is going to be better than Hollywood Brown was sooner. But again, it's the hands that. But I think.
What's your favorite type of receiver? Honestly,
me personally, I like the 6'4", 6'5", big body, go up and fuck like Mike Evans. Like I love he can go deep on you. He's gonna beat you in most 50-50 balls. Clearly, if you're looking at no injuries, like just avoid the injuries. But I love like the 6'4", 6'5" wide receivers that have speed.
See, my fun to watch, but like short, little, fast receivers are the receivers you want as a GM. Like, because they're not going to get injured, they're going to run, and if they're smart like Tyler Lockett, just fall down.
Yeah,
Austin, you run so fast, like you have greater chance of injury usually. Those guys usually
but if you're a Tyler Lockett and will fall down before you get hit a lot, you're playing
you're not taking hits like Mike Evans, who's going over 2 safety or going over the cornerbacks. The safety's coming and boomsticking them. Like
what my favorite receivers are. I like people that are like hands, just have really really good hands. I love the like possession receivers like Larry Fitzgerald.
Chris Godwin. You love Chris Godwin.
I do like Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin's a weird one because he's like they use him not to his potential at all. He could run way deeper routes, but people like that. Anquan Bolden's big old ass. Whoa.
All right, moving on. Keep it going. We got bad betting. Last bad betting did hit for the Celtics. Pacers game 3. Tatum went over 6 assists. Over 8 rebounds. Horford had 7 threes, so he well went over that 2 threes. And Siakam went over 20. So if you bet the parlay at $10, enjoy your $40 or whatever it was. This week, for tonight's game, tomorrow's game while we're filming, but tonight's game, we're going to do Game 5, Wolves, Mavs. And you know what? We're going to do a Naz Reid parlay. Because Naz Reid has been tearing it up for the Wolves. Naz Reid, 15-plus points. Naz Reid, 6-plus rebounds. Naz Reid, 3-plus threes. And the Wolves win. We're going to get $10 for $120. Naz Reid it all.
Yeah, Naz Reid screwed me last time on my parlay. I had him for 10-plus, and he got 4. So
I think it's weird, but I have that feeling. Like, he's been, like, so good for him. Cat finally went off, so like that helped out a little bit, so he didn't have to do as much, and like the foul trouble didn't come until late. But Naz Reid, man, he's just been cooking, and I think at home he cooks the best.
He's the best at cooking, guys.
Yeah, so if you want to parlay it, it's 120. If you just want to bet those separately, I think all of them besides the Wolves winning are plus whatever. So
Wolves winning.
All right, UFL, Marcus, we had a bad week. It's still good because we didn't go under 500, but bad week. Pick'ems, we went 2-2. Renegades beat the Battlehawks 36-22. Sad day.
We don't really need to talk about the stats. Really,
No,
so
Wilkins threw 3 interceptions. We didn't have AJ McCarron. We have the playoff spot secured. It's whatever. It did not go well at the quarterback spot for the Battlehawks, and it was sad to see.
Stallions took their first loss.
Shocker.
Yeah.
They've never lost in their respective conference, haven't they?
Yeah, they had like a 15. They were like 15-0 between last year and this year so far.
Yeah. Chase Garber coming back off an injury. I don't know if he was back there, but really it was the running backs that got it done for the Brahmas. Anthony McFarland, 15 rushes, 82 yards, and then Morgan Ellis, 12 attempts, 30 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Well, the Stallions defense didn't look good. Like,
no,
everything that the Brahmas were doing, the Stallions could not stop, which was very weird to see. But you gotta lose one eventually. You can't always be perfect. So,
nope. Next game, Panthers 26 versus the Roughnecks 22. Bryce Perkins, who I forgot about. Came in and was lighting it up, and he had 1 touchdown, one pick, and then he had 76 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, and he really was what pushed the Panthers over the edge. I don't think really the Roughnecks had anything that crazy besides that.
Yeah, Justin Hall went off, had 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean,
he did.
I mean, he's been probably a top 3 wide receiver, I would say, majority of the year.
He's been really good.
That's pretty much what the Roughnecks have had is him. That's about it.
Yeah. And then the DC Defenders 36 versus the Showboats 21. Jordan Tiamu had 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, and then a rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
And then that's about it. The Defenders defense must have been scoring a lot because the Defenders offense did jack shit. Like, they did not do a lot at all.
Yeah,
so.
It was pretty much Teamu finally took over like he should have been all season. And, yeah, the Showboats had their running back had 98 yards and a touchdown. Like, again, Showboats, worst team in the league. So,
yes, they are.
Have the Showboats won a game yet?
Yeah.
Did they win a game?
Yeah, they're 1-8. And then we'll have... And then... week 10, we have the final week until the playoffs.
Yep.
So like I said, Marcus and I both went 2-2 last week on our guesses. Again, didn't go under 500, so whatever, we'll take it. Austin, since you're here, we will do a pick-em for you, even though, like, just to...
You have no idea, probably.
No. Courtney said that Mike and you have been watching it sometimes, so...
Okay, we pop in for like all of 5 minutes.
Hey,
I watched Destroying's first field goal go for a touchdown.
You're watching the UFL, all right? It's what we need. We need viewership, so just keep watching the UFL. All right, so week 10, final week, we have the 7-2 Panthers playing the 8-1 Stallions. The Stallions are favored by 8 points.
Give me the Stallions at
Yeah,
home.
give me the Stallions and that bounce back. Matt Corral, starting quarterback.
No, Adrian Martinez is gonna clearly be that guy. Still, he's the MVP. Clearly,
Did he get injured or something? Is
I
that why
don't-
Corral was in at the start, like the end of that game?
he could have been. I don't know. Adrian Martinez the MVP. Don't matter if he doesn't play next game or not. He's the MVP. Next Saturday, June 1st, the 2 or 3 o'clock game. I don't know if this is Eastern time. We have the 7-2 Brahmas playing the 6-3 Battlehawks.
Give me the Battlehawks.
With or without McCarron?
We're gonna have McCarron, I'm pretty sure, because we have to beat the Brahmas
Seeding.
to get home field advantage for the week 1 for the first whatever.
Is this for the division?
Yeah, it would be too, because they're
So-
So we have to beat them in order to have home field advantage in the first round. Even though it's only 2 rounds, it's 1 round in the championship. But
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the Brahmas. I don't think Adrian McCarron's gonna be ready off that injury.
dude, he's
The
been
Brahmas
out.
have a pretty good defense.
It's been out 2 weeks. All right, if he's
You never know. Hey, 2 weeks too long.
wow.
Adrian McCarron's old.
I wrote. Even though I'm typing Battlehawks, I wrote Stallions because I was reading what I put above for Marcus.
Wow, Skinny, wow.
I got to get used to this. I'm all backwards. I used to film on the left hand side compared to the right, and like since I moved out of the guest bedroom into the man cave, like I had to improvise and like move some things around. So like it's a whole new setup to me. All right, I don't feel in my place.
He's going through it right now.
It's not my comfort zone. It's not my safe space. Sunday, June 2nd at 11 a.m., which I think is Central Time. So these are all Central Time. We have the 2-7 Renegades playing the DC Defenders. DC is favored by 3 points.
Give me DC.
DC.
You know what? I'm gonna ride the Renegades again. They win one, they're gonna win again. I also took the Battlehawks. I guess I didn't say that, but we all kind of should know that I'm gonna take the Battlehawks every game. So there's one different for us, Marcus. And then the 6 o'clock game, we have the worst game of all of the UFL. The 1-8 Roughnecks play the 1-8 Showboats. The Houston Roughnecks are favored by 2 points.
Yeah, give me the Roughnecks.
Give me the Roughnecks.
I am too going to take the Roughnecks.
Nice.
The Showboats are just terrible. Terrible.
We'll see how this goes. Week 10, final week. If you haven't watched any UFL football, I highly encourage at least watching the Saturday games. Sunday games are probably going to be dog shit because they're bad teams. The seeding, all the seedings come down to this because with think about it, the Panthers are 7-2 too. So if they beat the Stallions, I think they get the tiebreaker too, and they might get home seed over the Stallions. So it'll be pretty interesting to see how this goes. Coming week 10, tight race for that. For the home field advantages. And the best part is the championship game is in St. Louis. So if the Battlehawks win their week 1 matchup, they get a home game in the championship game. So
Adrian McCarron ain't like that.
He is.
Last bit here we have is Dynasty Fantasy. Like if you're starting off in a Dynasty, we have Marcus did 10, I did 7. I didn't have enough time. Just terrible, I know. Players that you should target in a start from scratch Dynasty Fantasy League.
Mm-hmm. I did mine based off of value. So I basically use ESPN's Mike Clay's list for everything. That's what I base my stuff off of, and I kind of go off of there. Mike Clay is probably the best in the business when it comes to that stuff. He's the one that does all the algorithms for the projections for fantasy. So if CeeDee Lamb's projected 21 points and he gets 17, blame it on Mike Clay. But I based it off of that, and then I kind of picked which values I thought were the best. My number one would be Travis Etienne Jr. He is 25 years old, and he's ranked 21 on Mike Clay's dynasty list. To me, I feel like Travis Etienne's a really well-rounded player. He can catch the ball really well, and really in the NFL, we haven't seen him catch the ball like he did in the college level at Clemson. But he went over 1,000 yards last year and had 11 touchdowns. For a back his size, that's crazy, actually. He also had 58 catches for 476 yards and 1 touchdown. This offense lost Calvin Ridley, gained Gabe Davis and Brian Thompson. But I don't think, to me, that doesn't really matter. I think Etienne is the clear-cut number one back, and he gets all the goal line touches. If they get close in there, they're going to run it with him. I don't know what Trevor Lawrence is right now. I don't know what this team's going to look like next year. Trevor Lawrence, last year was supposed to take a big step up, and it kind of is like he took a step back. So last year, Calvin Ridley was their clear-cut number one, kinda-ish. I mean, he was, but I just don't know. I don't believe in Gabe Davis that much. I don't know what Gabe Davis will be. And Brian Thompson Jr. is a talent who I think will be used, but will the connection with Trevor Lawrence day one? You know, how long will it take him? I feel like Travis Etienne's the only player in this offense that I'm fully confident with right now,
and has been consistent. Been able to stay consistent.
And he's been two straight years of 1,000 yards. Not bad after missing his rookie year. So
yeah, do another one just because I again have less than you.
Okay, my next
Terrible
one is
co-host.
Puka Nacua. He ranked him 17th overall. He's 23 years old, and he's competing with Cooper Kupp for number one targets with the Rams. Last year, he got robbed from being the Rookie of the Year because his numbers were way more impressive than C.J. Stroud. But he had 105 catches for 1,486 yards and 6 touchdowns. He's the number one on an offense that likes to throw the ball, and I think he is. Right now, I think Puka's right here, and I think Cooper Kupp's like right here. Like, I think that he's by far, and it's dynasty, you're looking for the future. Cooper Kupp's not going to be there after next year. Or the year after that. Cooper Kupp's going to be gone. Puka Nacua is going to be there, and as long as Sean McVay stays the coach of that offense, I'm very confident it doesn't matter who they have in throwing the ball. I think Puka Nacua is going to get his. And he reminds me of a Larry Fitzgerald, dude. Like, he just is always open. He's not very fast, but he's very good hands, very aggressive. So
well, and if he has a career path like Larry, stay on the outside while you're young. Move into the slot continue to succeed while you're getting older. Yeah, and like you said, it doesn't matter who's quarterback. I mean, Carson Wentz came in and played a game. They beat the 49ers, and Puka had a pretty decent... I don't remember his stats that game. I can look him up.
He did good.
Yeah,
well, I don't think they played him that much. They wanted him to get the record, and then they benched him. They took him out.
He got the record.
He got the record, and then they took him out, because that's why they played him. I think he only got like 3 catches for like maybe like 30 yards or something like that. Well, couldn't have been anything more than.
I think he had the touchdown. I know he had I'm pretty sure he had a touchdown. Yeah, he had. Let's see here. Let me get it. Sorry, I just gotta look. It gave me both the games. I forgot they played twice. Oh, he had 41 yards and a touchdown. So yeah, I mean.
Yeah, they just got him.
And he only played partial of the game. So, yeah, I mean, you had a guy like Carson Wentz who, very talented, just hasn't been able to do it after the injury, come in and throw him the ball, and he did fine. And I'm pretty sure...
Yeah.
What game was it that they had Rippin as their quarterback? Like...
Yeah, they did have one. And Puka played most of the games last year, I want to say. I don't think he was injured at all.
Yeah,
he honestly won people leagues.
He had 5 games under 50, and one of them he didn't even play the full game, and then he had 150. Everything else was over. So, yeah, I mean, he's going to get his targets. Cooper Kupp, with his injuries, is going to continue to get slower and slower and not be as talented. So, no, I agree. I like that. So I feel like mine, I have a lot of, like, the same, like, most of my guys are on the same team. 6 of my 7 picks are all on the same team. But my first one is Najee Harris. He's going about the 6th or 7th round in dynasty drafts. I like that value for 6 or 7 because he's still younger. The only thing that worries me is Arthur Smith coming in. Like, that's my biggest worry. But hopefully he learned a lesson from the Falcons and is like, all right, maybe I'm not going to give my running back 2 all the goal line touches when I have Najee Harris. But the upside to me for Najee is he's getting a way better quarterback with Russell Wilson. They're going to be able to spread that offense a little bit more with more consistency in the passing game, which is going to open up holes for Najee. He's had 1,000 yards all 3 seasons, despite having some of the worst offensive play calls ever. And like some of those runs, I mean, we think as bad games or he's getting stuffed at the line. He averaged 4.1 yards a carry last year. So
he's the most ugliest 1,000-yard rusher I think I've ever watched.
And
he is. It's like that was like Calvin Ridley last year receiving 1,000 yards. Like it was like how? Because it was ugly, so ugly at times. But Najee's consistent, man.
Yeah.
I still think this is the year Jalen Warren takes the leap into the RB1. I think that's why they didn't give Najee his 5th year.
No, he had 8 touchdowns. You have to think you can be successful with 2 running backs if used right. Like Arthur Smith.
Oh, I saw the way our running back coach was using them towards the end of the year between Najee and Jalen. It was disgusting.
Yeah, Arthur Smith knows how to use both running backs, but he doesn't know. Again, with Tyler Algier, he was using it incorrectly when he had Bijan, clearly. But he knows how to use 2 running backs. It's just, I hope this is a stretch for me in terms of I like the value at 6th or 7th round, but it really relies on Arthur Smith being able to not do what he did to Bijan.
Yeah, I don't think that Bijan and Najee Harris are 2 very different running backs. I don't think that I would say in that offense, Jalen Warren would be more like a Bijan, where he's a little bit quicker.
I'm not saying like
in Tyler Algier. No, I know.
Yeah,
trying to
like in the goal line. I'm not gonna have Jalen Warren at the goal line. I'm gonna put Najee Harris in, but what he was doing in Atlanta was putting Tyler Algier in goal line over Bijan, which didn't make any sense. That's
what we want for honestly Najee.
Yeah,
we want him to be used 100% at the goal line.
Exactly.
I think Najee kind of reminds me of like a better Chris Carson in a sense. He can catch the ball fairly well, and he's a downfield runner. You guys,
Najee's vision is terrible.
It's not that bad. Najee's old, dude, and that let's be so real. That Steelers offensive line has been buns since Big Ben got hurt.
It's pretty bad, but Najee acts like he's not a power back sometimes, and it's the most annoying thing to watch.
Because he has to do so much behind that line. Once people are in your face, you start getting.
He has to be a Saquon Barkley behind but he's not like Saquon. Like he has to do more than he should.
He tries to bounce it to the outside way too much.
Think about Breece Hall last year. Breece Hall can lower his shoulder and do that, but he was bounced around because every single time I watched him touch the ball and get hit multiple times. I watched a lot of Jets games. It was really hard to watch, but I think Bijan Robinson, I think Najee's going to have a decent year. I think they're going to work him. He's on a prove-it year now. I think he's going to get a lot of the snaps.
If he doesn't show up, then Jalen Warren's going to come and swoop in. And
but it all comes down, like I said, it all comes down to Arthur Smith.
Year under contract,
if Arthur Smith doesn't use him and learn the mistake that he has a clear-cut RB1 like he did with Bijan and wasn't using him correctly, that's going to be the death of Najee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. My next one is Kenneth Walker Jr. 23 years old. He's ranked 30th on Mike Clay's dynasty list. Last year he was injured, but he did go for over 905 yards and 9 touchdowns in 15 games, and only 11 started. So, that's not bad numbers. I mean, he would have been a 1,000-yard receiver. He plays the rest of the season, and he obviously got hurt multiple games and had to leave. So he probably started close to maybe that 13 mark where he actually played full games.
Yeah.
Went out. I think that Kenneth Walker Jr. Geno Smith took a step back last year too. I think this offense has weapons, and like Tyler Lockett, they have
Metcalf, Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Jackson Smith and Jigma. Yeah,
they
made
Lockett
some moves
in the slot.
I think they have what's his face too. Noah Fant as well.
Oh yeah, but he's like a back
Yeah.
tight end for them.
Yeah, he might be under
Behind like Disley or whatever.
Yeah, Disley's decent. But,
He's above Disley.
Oh, he is? I thought he was above Disley, but Zach Chardonnay is there, which does affect Kenneth Walker. I feel like he would. But what do you have to say about Zach Chardonnay?
When Walker was out, Chardonnay didn't do, he didn't really.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. He didn't do anything that you expected him to do.
He was no threat to his job.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't really show a threat.
And I think at the maximum, he's a change of pace back. Chardonnay is good at catching the ball. I feel like this is still at the bottom of the barrel. I feel like it's a 60-70% timeshare going to Kenneth Walker. I mean, he's done it all. He looks really, really good. He's someone that I would be looking forward to getting drafts, especially Dynasty, because people are thinking, oh, he got injured, stuff like that. If you're starting one up, or even a trade target, like I feel like this team's going to run through it. We're going to have a different offense. I don't believe in Geno Smith. 1 year didn't prove it to me, and last year Geno Smith was buns. So I feel like this team's going to run the ball. They're going to have to run the ball and pass once they need to pass. So I feel like this team's going to be way more running now that Pete Carroll's gone, and Pete Carroll doesn't have to be like, well, fuck you, Russell Wilson. We can do it with Geno Smith anymore. Yeah. So I don't know.
My next guy is Adonai Mitchell. He's going about round 8. Colts need a true wide receiver too. Like they just don't have that. It was Pittman, and after that,
Josh
Downs was decent.
Yeah,
I feel like you could move Downs to the slot. And
like Adonai Mitchell is 6'2", like 205, 210, like
he's pretty athletic,
but he's fat. Like he's fat. He's a 4'3", low 4'3", 40. Which is what they kind of need. They need a little bit bigger of a guy, but has speed. He's faster than Pittman. Pittman's catch percentage of success rate was ass. It was like 51%.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Pittman's your wide receiver 1. You just paid him the money. But with those, like, ever since his best season, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago, his catch,
gone down.
It's just gone. It's gone to shit. His catch percentage has gone to shit.
He's been injured a lot, though. I feel.
Yeah, and his average of catch percentage over the last 2 seasons is 52.9%. That is terrible. Especially for a slower guy that isn't going deep all the time. You're 5 to 10 yard passes. I think Adonai Mitchell has a real shot to, in the next 2 to 3 years, take over that wide receiver 1 spot. Anthony Richardson is going to get better in the pass game compared to what he was. He's gonna, especially with the shoulder injury and his history, with the injury of getting hurt when you're running, he's gonna have to start relying more on his passing. Adonai Mitchell may not be a day 1 starter in fantasy, but round 8, very good value for somebody that you're probably gonna have as your wide receiver 1 or 2 in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. My next one is Rashad White. Mike Clay ranked him 32. Out of all the 32 out of the top, 220 players. He's 25 years old. Last year he had 990 yards rushing, 6 touchdowns. He had 6 catches for 549 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Bucs came swinging in free agency. They ended up drafting Graham Barton, the center out of Oregon.
Graham Barton? No, he's from Duke.
Graham, no. Duke.
Yeah.
I was reading down. But sorry, I lost my place.
It's the poison ivy.
It is a poison ivy. Dumb. But it's because I was talking about Bucky Irvin later. But White was a do-it-all back last year. The only reason that I can kind of see why it's a little bit scary is because Bucky Irvin came from Oregon. He had like 1,600 yards last year of total, large yards behind scrimmage or whatever it is, total scrimmage yards. I still think that he'll be a solid RB2 to 1, and I feel like he's been in the offense for 3 years. It's basically the same coaching staff. He has a rapport with Baker Mayfield. I feel like last year he just did enough. He was kind of a poor man's CMC last year, to be honest. He was really, really solid. I mean, he won your data league. I just feel like them going in, taking a first overall pick on Graham Barton out of Duke, and then shoring up that offensive line. I feel like the running lanes will be better. Baker Mayfield is still a factor. He's shown that he can pass the ball to Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. And I feel like this offense is going to open up so much more. Because Baker, I mean, you're either going to get good Baker or bad Baker. Baker doesn't really need to prove it because they gave him the money, so maybe he doesn't care. But we'll see what Baker we get. But
yeah,
they really gave Baker that bag.
You give.
They did.
Yeah, they paid him about $5 more million a year than I probably thought they should have. Keep that offensive line healthy. Bucky Irving is a smaller back, so goal line, I wouldn't really see him taking it. Like, at one point, like, White was, like, the highest goal line percentage running back at, like, 70 or 80%, Like, Bucky Irving is a smaller guy. As an Oregon fan, I watched their games. He's smaller. He is, he's a powerful runner and everything, but I don't see him really doing much, taking much away from White as a starter or even in the goal line being a smaller guy compared to White. But, the biggest one is just keeping that offensive line healthy, and with drafting a younger center, hopefully, you can keep that going.
I'm not a fan either of people taking interior linemen in the first round, but he had to be pretty damn good if they're going to take him in the first round. Well,
they've just lost their center, so they need some interior help. My next guy is Brock Bowers. He's going about the round 4 of Dynasty leagues. He is going ahead of guys like Travis Kelce and Kyle Pitts and, guys that have been in the league. Clearly, Travis is a little older, so if you're looking for a long-term option, you're not drafting Travis, but if you want more of like a win-now situation, he's going to be their starting tight end over Michael Mayer. Might run a dual tight end package, probably a lot with the ability of Michael Mayer. He'll be wide receiver 3 for him, pretty much. Pretty much. I know they signed people, but like he can do it all. Devontae Adams is 31. They have him signed.
Be wide receiver 2.
Yeah, could surpass Jacoby Myers. Adams is 31. He's signed through 2026, but they might try to get rid of him, get rid of that contract some way, shape, or form. So he might even be stepping up even sooner than that. And then last year, Minshew had to take over for the Colts, and in 13 starts threw 3,300 yards. In 13 starts, he averaged maybe like a touchdown a game of just over a touchdown a game of 15 touchdowns, which again, that Colts offensive passing game at wide receiver wasn't great either. I like Minshew. Minshew's going to throw the hell out of the ball. You got Zamir White at running back. It's not Josh Jacobs anymore. It's not a guy that you potentially can hand the ball off close to 300 times a year.
Who else do they have?
Who do they sign?
Alexander Madison.
Oh, yeah. Well, after last year, watching him with the Vikings, I don't know if you can trust him either.
Rip.
But is Minshew the projected starter right now?
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think with Minshew at the helm, Bowers can be treated as a inside-outside guy, and again, especially the Dynasty, you're thinking long-term here. He's gonna potentially be like Travis Kelce and become the number one option in a Raiders offense in 2 to 3 years, depending on what happens with Devontae. Yeah. So
he might be a better athlete than Travis Kelce too, to be honest.
Yeah, and round 4, take it.
It's good. It's good value. It's early. It is early for a tight end. I would say
it's only questionable because of his quarterback
talent.
Yeah,
he's a generational talent.
Yeah,
I'm not worried about the quarterback. Honestly, Aiden O'Connell would zip that ball into places. So
Gardner Minshew's going to throw it. Yeah, I think it's going to be. I think it'll be good. They're going to get the passing yards around. They're going to hopefully they drafted him so high. They're going to utilize him, unlike they did with Mayer. But I have Brock Bowers.
My number 5 is DeAndre Swift. Only 25 years old. Mike Clay has him at RB18. He's the 68th ranked player right now. DeAndre Swift was no sludge last year. He was a solid RB. I'm pretty sure he was top 10 RB last year, top 15 at the most. But he's going to a much improved Bears offense. They've done a lot with it. Caleb Williams at the helms might deal some touchdowns at the goal line. Well, guess what? So did Jalen Hurts. He's a rookie quarterback. I think that he will rely on Swift to run the ball, and I feel like Swift showed last year that he could run the ball. He went for 1,049 yards, 5 touchdowns with 49 catches for 214 yards and 1 touchdown. He's a young guy on a Bears offense that should theoretically be really good for a while. You could probably get 4 to 5 years out of DeAndre Swift if he stays healthy. He doesn't really play a run style that I feel like is, as a running back, that's detrimental to his health. He's not very. He's a shifty, receiving back.
And he's not getting heavy workloads. Like he's not getting 300, 250 plus attempts, or You also have to think he put up those numbers, just over 1,000 yards and everything, with the first game of the year. 0 yards. There were games where he'd had.
Game of the year?
Yeah, first game of the year.
Was it Boston Scott, or it was one of those
Kenneth
guys
Gainwell? Kenneth Gainwell. Then there were games where he'd have 1 to 3 carries and a half. Nick Sirianni was not calling his number, even though he was number 2 in rushing after the second game of the year. He had so much against him. If you got to the 1 yard line, he's not getting a rushing touchdown or rushing attempt because Jalen Hurts is running it in. He had 14 touchdowns last year or something like that. Jalen Hurts did, and probably 8 to 10 of those were tush pushes. So that's 8 to 10 potential touchdowns taken away from DeAndre Swift. So I do like that offense. I think, and the offensive line is better. It's not as good as the Eagles because you watch some of DeAndre Swift's runs. He's not getting touched until he's 8 plus yards downfield sometimes. But I think as long as he can get to that 3 to 5 consistently, I think he'll have a pretty decent season, and he can come out of the backfield for you.
He got paid decent money. Can you look it up quick?
It's like $8 million a year.
Yeah, that's for running back. That's not bad. You got to follow the money. They're going to need this guy. I think Caleb Williams, if I'm right, I think that he'll struggle a little bit. I've always said that since day one. I just feel like Caleb Williams' attitude will kind of determine how good he will and how coachable he is. We'll see, but it's a tough division. I feel like running the ball is essential in the NFC North. It always has been.
My next guy is Brian Thomas Jr. I think it was the 8th round he's going roughly. I didn't write that down, but I'm pretty sure it's the 8th, just based off of everything else. They lost Calvin Ridley. They bring in Gabe Davis. They don't know you don't know what you're getting out of Gabe Davis as wide receiver 1. The other wide receivers have kind of taken a backseat. Really, your only other guy is Evan Ingram. From the reception standpoint.
What's his face though too?
Christian Kirk.
Christian Kirk is
Kirk. They have a lot of people that are not proven to be they can carry the load.
Calvin Ridley comes in. He went over 1K and 8 touchdowns. I think Brian Thomas Jr. has a better chance of doing that than Gabe Davis does at being that wide receiver one.
Yeah.
So I think Brian Thomas Jr. at round 8 is a solid pick, especially if Trevor Lawrence can. I think with Trevor Lawrence, it was more of the picks compared to last year. I'll go over that
bad
later.
Decisions.
But yeah, bad decisions.
Yeah.
And then you also have to think about like the Kansas City game. He had 4 touchdowns that weren't touchdowns because his wide receivers couldn't get 2 feet in. Like very close plays. Maybe you needed to throw just a little bit better of a ball, but like big plays where that changes the game entirely. If Calvin Ridley can get that other foot in by half an inch, or like things like that, where I think Brian Thomas Jr. is going to come in and take that number 1 spot because I don't think Gabe Davis is going to be that number 1 guy. Christian Kirk is probably going to take a little bit of a backseat because Gabe Davis and Thomas are better than him, but ultimately Thomas Jr. and Thomas Jr. to the
highest ceiling in that
Yeah.
whole team comes to pass catchers. My number 6 is Chris Olave. Mike Clay ranked him at wide receiver 11. He is ranked 18th overall in Dynasty. Last year he had 1,123 yards, 5 touchdowns last year, and the Saints didn't really use him right. I know that what's-his-face kind of sucked ass.
Carr.
Their quarterback, Derek Carr, he wasn't really good. I don't know how long Derek Carr is going to be the starter there. They did draft Spencer Rattler with the 5th round. Spencer Rattler does have a crazy arm and could have potential. I see that he has traits that I would say would be good for an NFL quarterback. I don't know what he'll turn into, if he'll turn into anything or ever get a shot. But I feel like Derek Carr was hurt last year. They did go and draft a tackle in the first, top 10 pick, top 15 pick.
Yeah,
the guy,
top 15,
who did they get the guy from? Did they get the guy from or not Oregon, Washington, or maybe it was Oregon. I can't. It was what the
Oregon State, Fuaga.
Falaga, yeah, they got Falaga, who was like one of the top ranked tackles. That's going to help this team tremendously because that's what their pass protection was awful last year. Watching them keep Derek Carr up. Derek Carr's okay. He's not great, but he's okay, and he's good enough to have wide receivers that are fantasy viable. I think Chris Olave is a good value. Still 1,000 yards for a receiver that was on a really bad team that couldn't seem to get it together. I'm all for Chris Olave.
Well, what do they even have at wide receiver anymore? Rashid, what's his name?
Yeah, it's Olave and Rashid Shaheed.
Yeah, and he's a deep threat guy by nature, which Spencer Rattler would like, Derek Carr likes, but he also can run all the routes in the book. And honestly,
You can stick Olave anywhere.
They don't even have Shaheed anymore. It's Chris Olave, Keith Kirkwood, and Lynn Bowden Jr.
Yeah, so they.
They have A. Don't you sleep on A.T. Perry? Do they still have A.T. or whoever it is? Do they still have him?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah.
He caught 1 touchdown.
That's good enough. But Chris Olave's a dog. He'll be fantasy viable. I really do believe that.
I feel like they'll be better if they can get their run game working with Kamara and make it to where they're not throwing the ball all the time. I mean, it might open up some windows for them, scoring more touchdowns.
Yeah,
specifically.
I mean, even when Derek Carr wasn't playing and they had he got hurt and they had to put in other guys, that offensive line was terrible. You rushed, you were running for your life. There was no good consistency to help your quarterback out, and that's why Alvin Kamara was getting 15 passes thrown to him because Derek Carr had to check down all the time because nobody was open downfield and he was rushed. So hopefully adding that offensive tackle in Fuaga definitely helps out. And yeah, Chris Olave, I mean, he's clear cut number one. I mean, there's nobody there. So if you line him up anywhere on the field, he's going to get you. If he's not getting at least 12 to 15 targets a game, you're not playing right.
Nope.
So my next guy is Anthony Richardson. He's going about round.
I thought about putting him on there.
He's going about round 6 at quarterback, which dynasty is young, coming into his second year. Again, the injuries worry you a little bit. His arm accuracy and things worry you, but in the 5 games he played, he had 3 passing touchdowns, 4 rushing touchdowns. Fantasy wise, that's
he
24.
was QB1.
Yeah, that's 24 points right there. In the 4 or 5 games that he was playing, he only had 1 interception. So even though he wasn't maybe throwing touchdowns, he was taking care of the ball at least when he was throwing it.
Yeah.
His accuracy is going to improve, especially with adding Adonai Mitchell. Adding targets, adding guys that are going to be able to get open. I think his passing accuracy was about 60, just under 60%, which, again, he reminds me of like Josh Allen, Cam Newton, guys that didn't have the greatest accuracy. They have a cannon of an arm. They're going to improve every year, hopefully, with their accuracy. And then the one thing that stood out to me is Anthony Richardson always looked calm and composed. Like, he didn't look baffled. He felt comfortable with what he was going to do, if he was going to take off. I know sometimes he wanted to run earlier than he probably should have relied. But again, when your wide receivers were doing work for you, you gotta rely on the one thing you have is your legs. Hopefully he stays healthy. I mean, that after taking those hits,
that's the biggest concern.
Yeah, getting hurt. But round 6 for him, I think, is a very good good area to get him at.
That's a guy that I beat in my chest all last offseason. And honestly, if you base the season off of 5 games, he was better than C.J. Stroud, and it wasn't close. He was really good. He was passing the ball really well, running the ball really well. He's reckless with his body, which does scare me for his longevity. But he still is a very talented quarterback.
He'll be good for like 3-5 years at most. If he
I envision like a Cam Newton type.
He's going to go off next year. He's going to win MVP and then go to crap. I wonder how good his arm's going to be after the shoulder surgery. Number one, he
had a whole off season, almost a year to get better. So I'm confident.
Cam Newton got the same kind of injury. And
was it throwing arm or was it non-throwing arm? I couldn't remember.
Cam had both shoulders though. Ended up this is just one. We're okay for now.
Mm-hmm. My next guy is Jonathan Taylor, his teammate. He's RB5. He's age 25. He played in 10 games last year, rushed for 741 yards and 7 touchdowns. The Colts have a different offensive line, a decent offensive line. It wasn't the offensive line they had 5 years ago, but they retained a lot of the players, and it's still pretty good. And they did take offensive linemen in the draft to kind of rejuice up that offensive line. I think this year, with Anthony Richardson being hurt, I think this team is going to rely on running the ball a lot more than they were last year, and they did run the ball a lot last year. But I think that this Colts team is worried that Anthony Richardson is going to be able to withstand a season, let alone a whole career. And I think that they're going to use Jonathan Taylor. I think they're going to be smarter with how they run with Anthony Richardson, which in turn will make it more opportunity for Jonathan Taylor. So I'm not as worried as how the Eagles use Jalen Hurts. I don't think that they're going to be like that. I don't think they're going to put his body on the line, because they were smart last year, and they did. He could have kept playing. Like, they could have kept him out for 5 weeks and then not had him end his season. And they're like, we're looking at the future for this, not this season. We're looking at the next 10 seasons with them. Yep. So I think that Jonathan Taylor's still young. They paid him money after all that stuff that they went through, arguing about all the money stuff that he's not worth it, he's not this. They paid him legitimate money and good money at that. I think that Jonathan Taylor's talent, 2 years ago he was the number 1 overall pick. He is a put in the ground runner. He can do north and south, but he's still pretty quick. I think that he's going to have a very good career, and I feel like he's someone that I'm targeting in drafts and dynasty for sure.
And what does Anthony Richardson bring to that offense that Jonathan Taylor has not experienced with any other quarterback?
Passing, probably.
Running capability.
RPOs.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah, the RPO.
Yep.
The RPO
Carson
game
Wentz,
with them is
Matt
gonna be
Ryan, Phillip Rivers, maybe Carson Wentz a little bit, even Gardner Minshew a little bit, but like those four guys, I guess JT got hurt when Carson Wentz was there too, but
well, to be fair,
you don't have to worry that
I don't. Go ahead.
You don't have to worry any of those four really. Oh, I'm gonna hold the ball and I'm gonna take off myself. You have to respect that Anthony Richardson is gonna hold the ball and take it off. So JT is gonna have that half a second ahead of what you're thinking.
I mean, their head coach loves RPOs too. I mean, he lived and died by that in Philadelphia. Or never mind. I'm thinking of the wrong person. I'm thinking of Vrabel. I don't know why. Or not Vrabel. Reich.
Yeah, Reich's no longer there.
He's not there.
Yeah, I really think that this team, like Anthony Richardson last year in those first 5 games, showed me that he's a legitimate passer. So it wasn't like he was like, I'm not gonna say he's over here CJ Stroud. He's not CJ Stroud when it comes to passing, but he's good enough to win. Like he's probably, I saw last year what I saw. He's probably in that Cam Newton era where he can pass the ball and he can have 1,000-yard receivers and he can do that, but he can also run. So I'm excited about this Colts offense a little bit. It'll be very fun to watch them.
My next guy is, we're just going to go Trevor Lawrence. So in Dynasty rounds, he's going about round 9 or 10, which
that's crazy.
That's a steal. Yeah. He's had back-to-back 4,000-plus yards and 20-plus touchdowns. His touchdowns are on the lower side. But he's been a top 15 quarterback in fantasy the last 2 years. He was number 7 in 2022 and number 12 in 2023. And think about that. He's been top 15, and we're like, he hasn't been good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no.
Even though, how much does it take right now in the NFL to be a top 15 quarterback?
But in fantasy-wise, you have to think. Fantasy,
but even
you could throw for 5,000 yards and have 30 touchdowns, but if you're not running the ball or anything, Trevor Lawrence is a dual-threat quarterback and needs to use his legs more often, in my opinion. But
I agree.
That offense, I felt like last year he just was not making good decisions. It wasn't a pretty 4,000 yards or 21 touchdowns or whatever. I think he threw 21 or 22 touchdowns. It wasn't pretty. He had a couple, again, thrown off the board because of not getting the feet down or anything like that. But that offense did not look good 95% of the time.
I don't think he was comfortable with what.
Yeah.
In the number one sitting in the pocket, when he hurt his knee, he had no rollout capability.
Their offensive line was not good. Give it. You have to think 2 years. His second year going to be under Dougie P. Dougie P. had Carson Wentz with also Frank Reich looking like an MVP caliber quarterback. Trevor Lawrence is way more talented than Carson Wentz is. 100%. I think we all can agree.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Give him his second year underneath it. Getting him more comfortable. You add not only. Yeah, Calvin Ridley was talented. You add 2 good, talented wide receivers in Brian Thomas and Gabe Davis. Your running game's going to be there still. I think last year we say this should be the breakout year for Trevor Lawrence. I think this year has to be the breakout year for Trevor Lawrence. But again, he's only 24, so even if he's quarterback,
he's still got 100% more.
Yeah, quarterback 14 in fantasy. You're still getting top 15 talent out of him for the next 10 years, longer. Depending on.
I like Trevor Lawrence. I think that he had a rough cut. I need to close this blind because it's killing me right now.
He's still the QB build that every coordinator drools about. The 6'4", 220.
Oh yeah. He's fast. I mean, he can do it all. He is a dual threat. I mean, dual
Which
threat.
I don't know why he's not. His running abilities aren't used as much as you would think. But I know he hurt his knee last year for a little bit, and so it kind of had put him in a little bit of a. He's kind of stuck, but.
And to be fair, he was the Caleb Williams before Caleb Williams. The next crown.
And he was great in college.
Yeah,
he was the best in college. My next guy, my number 8 guy, is C.J. Stroud. Mike plays number 6 quarterback. He's going 45th overall right now. He's 22 years old. He won Rookie of the Year last year. Had 4,108 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 39 rushing attempts for 67 yards and 3 touchdowns. He shouldn't have won Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'm going to say that right now. Puka got screwed. But C.J. Stroud, legitimate. People were talking about how much of a dum-dum he was. Well, he was slinging that ball around and doing really well, especially for a Texans team that I would say they played way better than expected. That's for sure. That was probably the off-season or the season sweethearts of the year because people thought the Jags were going to take that division and run, and it was more of a competitive division.
Well, the Jags were going to, and then they fell off.
Yeah. They did get Stephon Diggs in the offseason, which does make me excited. Prove it, Stephon Diggs, who's had 4,000 yard receiving, 4,000 or 5,000 yard receiving years in a row. He has Tank Dell, who just got shot, but still will be a very solid player for him in the future. Nico Collins, who just got paid his money. They also went and got Blake Fisher, tackle. I think they got him in the second round. So this team is loaded up on offense for him to succeed. They got Joe Mixon, which will help the run game. That's the best running back they'll have. I'm excited to see what C.J. Stroud can do in this offense. I feel like the team is backed around him. I feel like he has a good attitude towards things, and I feel like he's probably going to be the face of this Texans team and take him somewhere because he's legit, man. He's legit. Yeah,
you have John Mechie even,
Yep, John Mechie the third.
Very good.
Their receiving core is so deep. They still have Schultz at tight end.
Yeah, you have solid tight end. You have ISU boy Xavier Hutchinson, Mr. Possession.
Yep.
I think you adding Joe Mixon compared to Devin Singletary popped off the last 5 weeks. Dameon Pierce was not good, which he could fill up his role, maybe whatever that role is going to be. But
a miss on you.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Kadarius Toney.
He's like, hide my face. Why?
What's worse? Probably Kadarius Toney.
Okay, I'm pretty sure everybody thought Kadarius Toney was going to be great in that system.
Kenny, you like Kadarius Toney too. I always said I didn't like what's his face though.
But Joe Mixon definitely brings a better overall for that running back. Yeah. You'll be able to run the ball, I think, a little bit better. But he's fantastic out of the backfield for receiving option too. So,
yep.
It's going to open up that offense. I'm excited to see how it goes. I don't think they win the division this year. I think one reason why they were so successful is that defense just played out of their minds, and I think that's going to just fall just enough. Maybe not 4 to 5 game difference. They might go 9-7. They might not get that double digit.
The defense got better.
The fact that DeMeco Ryan didn't win Rookie or Coach of the Year is crazy, dude.
Yeah. But you also have to think, what's more impressive, winning it with a rookie quarterback and making the playoffs? I know they destroyed him in the playoffs, but they had 5 different starting quarterbacks, and they had Joe Flacco at one.
That team is stacked, though. The team is
defense. On defense. But
and
you lost
great,
Nick Chubb. You had 5 different starting quarterbacks.
I'm just a Browns.
The fact that you make the playoffs with that is very impressive to me too.
No, DeMeco Ryan. Here's the thing.
It's impressive, but nobody believed in them.
What's his face should not have been the defensive rookie of the year. Will Anderson.
Yeah, that was bogus.
Yeah, he shouldn't have been. That was bogus. C.J. Stroud should not have been Rookie of the Year. Not even close. Like, Puka should have been Rookie of the Year. And, what's his face?
Jalen Carter.
It should have been Jalen Carter. 100% Jalen Carter as that. And then on top of it, you steal the one person that deserves the thing. You give it to Kevin fucking Stefanski. That team should have won games. That team was stacked at defense. And at offense, I know they had injuries, but let's be real. Joe Flacco is a better quarterback right now than Deshaun Watson is.
That is, yeah.
Yeah, but they also were playing.
Tell me that's not true.
They were also playing.
No, stop. Tell me that's not true. Joe Flacco has showed more in the last 2 years than Deshaun Watson
Yeah,
has.
that's
he threw
true.
more
Deshaun
touchdowns,
Watson,
and they played about the same amount of games.
But yeah, all right.
Yeah, once you're right, you're right. I know, and I'm right.
All right, but then let's talk about the other three quarterbacks that played for him. That's why they went and got Jameis Winston. All right, my last guy is George Pickens. He is going in about round 5, so just going right before Najee.
So excited.
63 catches for 1,100 yards is fucking insane, especially with what they had at quarterback.
Yep.
Fucking insane. Most of these guys that are breaking 1,000 are seeing closer to 100, like 25 to 30 less catches than most people hitting 1,000. Just insane.
He got that final 400 in the last 4 weeks with Mason Rudolph. He was actually kind of crazy.
He had 5 touchdowns, which is low. You want to see maybe closer to the 8. But it was the worst offensive scheme in the NFL until they
by far.
Arthur Smith was bad, but
no.
Canada was worse.
Matt Canada is literally the most pea-brain coordinator I've ever met in my life.
Yeah. So the fact that I know he popped off once you got rid of Canada, which is exactly why I did this, is he's gonna pop off with not having Matt Canada. I know Arthur Smith is in question, and it's like, why are you throwing to our tight end number 2 and running RB2 more than you're throwing to your Kyle Pitts tight end and Drake London? But whatever. I think, again, I'm hoping that Arthur Smith learned his lesson. That's it. Learned his lesson.
I'm excited for him.
George Pickens was doing all this with terrible quarterbacks, and Russell Wilson is 4,000 times better than what he was already playing with.
Than every quarterback the Steelers had, even Justin Fields.
They're not on. None of them are on the roster. Is Mason Rudolph on that roster?
Nope. And we traded Pickett, and we cut Trubisky.
And Pickett, yeah. So the 3 quarterbacks.
And even if Justin Fields if Russ gets hurt or whatever, and Justin Fields come in, I'm still confident that Justin Fields is going to look what he did with DJ Moore. You're gonna get the playmaker of the ball. He's clear cut wide receiver 1. No Deontay Johnson. You have Pat Freiermuth at tight end, but your next best wide receiver is what? Quez Watkins, Calvin Austin, there's
they don't have it.
They don't have it.
We are in talks with Michael Thomas right now. So
you guys were supposed to get Tyler Boyd. You guys were supposed to all these. You're supposed to trade for. You're supposed to trade for Cortland Sutton.
Grabbing anybody decent. I don't get why. I know we made all these trades to get these quarterbacks this year. We get Russell Wilson. We get Justin Fields. There's always a talk every year about picking up somebody in a blockbuster trade, and our GM, he'll never pull the trigger on it. He doesn't want to give up too much.
Yeah.
And I get it in some ways, but this team's ready to win. How much longer do we have TJ Watt for? We don't. We probably got 5 more years maybe. He's 28, 29 now. So, and obviously he's going to want to go win. I wouldn't be surprised if in 3 years TJ Watt wants to leave and go to the Chiefs. And go try and get a championship. Especially if we don't pick it up on offense. I'm hoping this year Russ plays 4 or 5 games, Justin Fields comes in, and he just takes off.
Pittsburgh is my favorite to win that division this year.
I don't see, honestly, how we don't. I don't see Burrow going off this year. I think by 4 weeks, I looked at the Steelers' schedule. I think through the first 4 weeks, we probably finished 3-1.
I haven't looked at the schedules, but Pitt right now probably is Like, just not even looking at schedules is probably my favorite to win the division.
That's a bold call. I don't know if I'd go that far. I love me Joe Burrow. I've always been a Joe Burrow lover. I think he's a great quarterback. And also, that Ravens team's low-key scary once you put
the Ravens never
King
pan
Henry
out against Pittsburgh though.
Yeah,
That's the
but
thing.
what did Pittsburgh
Ravens.
take away from the Ravens that the Ravens relied heavily on their defense?
What, they got
Running the
Patrick
ball.
Queen?
Yeah.
Or Patrick Queen.
Imagine adding Patrick Queen to already a top 5 fucking defense in the league.
It's true.
And then you add
true.
you were going 9-7 with Mason Rudolph. 9-7 with fucking Mitchell Trubisky. Like,
I know.
9-7
by the
with
way,
Kenny
we
Pickett.
were 6-3 like halfway through that year too. So
You get Russell Wilson, who, as long as you give him protection, is gonna be a top 15 quarterback in the league. Maybe even top.
26 touchdowns
he was
with no protection last
He was
year. It's insane.
top 10 last year. I think he was number 9 or 10.
He was better than
I don't know.
Mahomes,
I could see the
statistically.
Bengals doing really well. The Bengals, I could see still playing pretty well, and I feel like it's going to be a tough division.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
Steelers
Burrow's
Steelers
gonna lose Boyd and Higgins.
Hey,
before
when
the
we do our extra $10 buy-in for my league, the Steelers we are picking the Steelers to win the division in that 4 to 5 leg parlay. I've already decided. I don't care what anybody says. As the commissioner, I'm making that decision now.
I'm the co-commissioner, and this is bullshit.
I've already been looking at it a little bit. The Lions, the Steelers, some of those like $120. The payout was like $40,000.
The Ravens and the Bengals are always projected to be like these crazy like super teams or whatever. And I get the Ravens got Derrick Henry.
And guess what
Derrick
happens?
Henry's old, bro. He's gonna blow his
Injuries.
knee out.
Injuries to their quarterbacks every year. But all right, Marcus, sorry. Go ahead.
I got my last two. My next one is Josh Jacobs. He's 26 years old. He is Mike Clay's RB15. I'm kind of low-key excited about Josh Jacobs this year. He's in a Packers offense that I still think isn't 100% there. Like Jordan Love has shown talent, and I think Jordan Love is going to be good. But Josh Jacobs decent at catching the ball. He's really good at running the ball, and A.J. Dillon is not it. Last year he did get hurt. Every single time a running back holds out in the offseason, it's always bad news for these players because they always get hurt. It just always happens. But he ended last year with 805 yards, 6 touchdowns, 20 catches, or 37 catches for 296 yards and 1 receiving touchdown. Packers offensive line, plus. Packers receiving core, question mark. Jordan Love, I would say, is a plus. Like, I feel like the Packers defense, he's in a division that, like I said, the NFC North is a running division. It always has been. It always will be. These teams are always built to run the ball. If they're not built to run the ball, they usually don't win the NFC North. Look at the Lions last year. They probably had a top 5 rushing attack with Gibbs and David Montgomery. Josh Jacobs is probably the best running back in the division right now, and I feel like this Packers team, RB15 in Dynasty for a 26-year-old running back, I think they gave him legit money too, didn't they? Or did they trade him? Do you know?
Yeah, they paid him.
They gave him
decent.
like 42, I think.
So like
3 or something like that.
He's making good money. Like,
yeah, he's making good money doing it. Like, I'm pretty excited to see what Josh Jacobs can do with this team because I feel like the sky's the limit. Jordan Love, I'm really confident in, and I think that they're going to need running back will only being able to run the ball effectively will only make Jordan Love a better back because last year he did not have Aaron Jones for a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, the other one too is when they did have Aaron Jones, guy was dropping 3 figures in the rushing yards, and
yeah.
Josh Jacobs is younger, maybe a little bit more explosive still too. Like,
yeah,
maybe not as elusive as Aaron Jones is, but
no,
the explosive.
No, he's more of a downhill runner, but
yeah, exactly. You may not get
he's what they wanted Aaron Jones to be.
Yeah, and the other one too is Jordan Love doesn't throw Aaron Jones the ball a whole lot. I learned that on New Year's Eve because fuck Jordan Love. And Josh Jacobs doesn't need that to be successful. Josh Jacobs wants to run the ball. He's like Jonathan Taylor. yeah, he can catch the ball out of the backfield, but he is going to run the fuck out of the ball. Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, they're going to run the fuck out of the ball for you. And if Aaron Jones can put up over 100 yards for you and 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, Josh Jacobs can do it in the same exact offense. The only thing that does worry me, though, is I know he's been injured over the last couple of years, but they got rid of Bakhtiari or whatever the fuck his name is, their tackle. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I know he's been injured for most of the last 2 seasons, but if they got a replacement or whatever is going on there, should be fine because they did it without him. But yeah, Josh Jacobs, I do like that.
Yeah,
I'm just a Josh Jacobs hater for real.
I've always two running backs. I don't know why I do this, but I have an obsession with Alabama running backs. Josh Jacobs, freaking Najee Harris,
Derrick Henry,
young Derrick Henry. I don't know why, but I like Alabama.
But he hates Iowa State running backs.
No, I drafted Breece Hall last
year. He hated Iowa State. He hated Iowa State running backs. Really,
until I saw Breece Hall play. And
really, he only hated David Montgomery.
I did hate
David Montgomery went to Iowa State.
Yeah. Also Jahmyr Gibbs. Remember how much I love Jahmyr Gibbs?
Yeah.
I do have a weird obsession for Alabama running backs.
Marcus was the biggest Bo Scarborough fan back in the day. All right.
I was, damn it. And you know what? He did shit.
Bo Scarborough didn't even make an NFL roster.
No.
Hey, he was on the Lions at one point. All right.
He was
for the practice squad.
Still made a roster. Yeah. More than we've done.
Yeah, Marcus, if he didn't break his leg, would have went pro.
Yeah, it's true. Break my leg and get severe poison ivy. I'd probably be in the NFL right now. My number 10 player is Kyle Pitts.
I wanted to throw... until you sent me his list, he was one of the guys I had in mind.
Yeah. He's tight end 5 on the year. He has him there. He's only 23 years old, and Mike Clay has him ranked 51 overall out of all the dynasty players.
He's going to go in the 4th round. There's no way he hits the 5th round.
Maybe. I could see it go both ways. Fantasy players are so you fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, fool me, can't get fooled again. People are really
I can tell you this right now. I'll take him in the 4th round. You guys are both in the league, dynasty league. We're going to start.
He hasn't improved anything though. I know he's got Kirk Cousins now, but hasn't.
He's the best receiver on that team.
Wait, little Austin. Let me give my spiel, and then you can tell me why he hasn't proven anything. His career's been up and down. Yes, I agree. Last year I had 667 yards for 52 catches and 3 touchdowns. Okay. When was the last time that Kyle Pitts was a top 3 fantasy tight end? Oh, you know who his quarterback was? Matt Ryan, the best quarterback he's ever played in with his career. Now you tell me, I'm going to list off some names and tell me if these names really get you fantasy excited. Marcus Mariota. Desmond Ridder.
We know who he's played with.
Oh, Taylor Heineke.
Taylor Heineke, a dog.
Let me tell you something. Little Austin. You know that I truly believe that those 3 quarterbacks suck ass, especially in the offense that had Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, has a top 10 offensive line, and defense don't matter. He has Kirk Cocaine Cousins. He has Michael. What the fuck? Why am I going crazy? Oh yeah.
Michael Pruitt.
Yeah, no, not Michael Pruitt. Michael Penix Jr. I don't know why I forgot Michael Penix Jr. Those are 2 quarterbacks that are way bigger upgrades than any of the other quarterbacks he's playing with. I think Kyle Pitts has just been misused. Arthur Smith is the worst head coach in all of football with how he took care of my Bijan Robinson situation, and then also doesn't use his weapons. Desmond Ridder sucks, I'm not going to lie. But I really am excited to see that what this team can do, and I'm really excited to see Kyle Pitts in action because I think that he is talented. Like, he's a generational talent.
He's the best receiver on that team. There's no way they're not going to use it. Like,
he is.
With Matt,
he's better than Drake London.
With Kirk Cousins throwing the ball, if he's not the number one tight end this year, I would be shocked. Like,
I would too.
He should be.
Kirk Cousins loves his tight ends. Yeah. Now, if Kyle Pitts does it to me again, I'm out. Doesn't matter what he does. Doesn't matter if he has a Hall of Fame career after that. Every single year, I'm not drafting Kyle Pitts. He's a fucking liar. But
yeah. No, I think Kyle. No,
it kind of reminds me of the Brock Bowers situation. Like, you really think Brock Bowers is going to do good with like Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell? Yeah. How do you not think Kyle Pitts wouldn't be good with Desmond Ridder?
Because it's the scheme of what they're doing. Like,
and it's different. It's different. Marcus Mariota is not as good of a quarterback as
Gardner Minshew. The last 2 years, Gardner Minshew has been better than Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor Lawrence has been a top 15 fantasy quarterback, and Gardner Minshew statistically has been better.
Legit.
Maybe I don't know what the wins are looking like, but I think he has like either the same or more like passing touchdowns, like interceptions or less. Like, Gardner Minshew statistically has been better than Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence has been a top 15 quarterback at least. So over his career. So I'm not worried about Gardner Minshew. The only thing I'm also not worried because they don't have fucking McDaniels anymore. Like, that team played way better with the other guy.
McDaniels who?
Or McDonald, sorry, Mike McDonald.
Okay.
For the Raiders, their assistant coach took over, and they played way better with him. Like, they almost had a shot at winning the division because
and then they hired freaking the Bears coordinator.
I think it'll be fine. I trust Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
Brock Bowers is going to be good. Kyle Pitts is going to be the number one receiver on that team.
Matt Canada, bro.
Kirk Cousins is the best fan. Like, he is a very good. He's a fantasy friendly quarterback.
Dude, I loved Kirk Cousins for the 2 weeks I had him before he tore his Achilles.
Who traded you Kirk Cousins? Me?
Yes.
Yeah, what a inside. It was corrupted. He knew.
What did I trade you for? Yeah, I did know. I'm a Vikings fan. They told me. What did I trade you for?
I traded you I think it was quarterback for a quarterback, but I don't remember.
What was it, Skinny? Do you remember?
Nope, I don't know, but
I bet we argued about it in the group chat.
Probably. I don't know.
But yeah, Skinny wants to go, but we're not gonna let him.
Bro, it's 7 o'clock. My kids haven't eaten dinner yet. I have to take a piss.
Why are you not feeding your kids, bro?
I need to go cook.
Okay, goodbye.
I got a grill. All right. Cheers. Austin, thanks for being on the pod. Follow us on the X, Insta, YouTube, Facebook.
We're going crazy.
I have nothing left in my cup.
YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Amazon. Spotify.
X. Yeah, whatever, all that. Cheers.
God bless you. God bless America.
Okay, bud.